the Intercontinental title with Becky, Lyra, Bailey. That's clearly going to Evolution. And that has really been the only long-term story being told. And it's going to culminate now at Evolution. They're really just slapping things together with 2 weeks left because they're just putting pay-per-views everywhere. They can't think about anything else long-term because they have to deal with what's in front of them. Leave AEW alone, man. Leave AEW alone. You lot book your own thing and stop worrying about what they're doing. I don't even know where to start with this video because I'm just so tired and so pissed off with how WWE are handling WWE Evolution. Yeah, this is their women's pay-per-view. It is on the 13th of July, so we are less than 2 weeks away from it, right? And there is just so much going on in the WWE and in my head as to why they can't make this perfect. Like, this is why I've just arrived at, they just don't care about it. This pay-per-view, this PLE is not important to the WWE because of how they treat it, how they have booked it so far, and how they will book the rest of it in the next few weeks, i.e. days. They have how many shows? Because we've had Monday Night Raw now. They have the best part of 3 more Raw and SmackDowns, 2 NXTs, to arrive at a 6-match card, 5-6-match card, which, is probably on the, breaking it down like that is more than enough time. But it's like, ultimately, what you're going to give us is not what people are invested in, and it's not what people want to see. The way I see Evolution, this should ultimately be the women's WrestleMania. This should be a big show, not necessarily in capacity of fans present, but just really held in high regard. And they done the first ever one in 2018, mainly because of Ronda Rousey. Let's call a spade a spade. There was a lot of good talent. WWE have never been short on, women's talent in these modern years. Like, they've had an abundance of women's talent, but they done it mainly because of Ronda Rousey, right? And that's fair. They had someone to kind of be the linchpin of it, someone to kind of hold down the inaugural WWE Evolution. But since then, we haven't even seen the PLE. We haven't even seen it. It should have been a regular thing since 2018. Every year, at the very least, women are getting this one night only women's wrestling, only WWE women's wrestling, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. They get to showcase the best of the best. They've always had the abundance of talent that they have. So I don't understand why this hasn't been a consistent thing. But here we are. They are bringing it back, and they aren't treating it like it is. They're not even treating it how they treated Evolution 1 in 2018. The first ever one. Like, there were some big stars then in and around it and looking to be involved. And this just feels like, oh, well, we've just had the show in Saudi Arabia, Night of Champions, and before that we had Money in the Bank, and that same weekend we're going to have an NXT show. Like, we are clearly just throwing PLEs into the calendar without enough build, and obviously to counter AEW, because if they tell you otherwise, that's a lie. Like, they are just doing all of this stuff now, and it's now going to affect the product. The product will be affected, and the build and the stories will be affected because we are just trying to throw things together. And ultimately, that is what Evolution is. They don't care. Something that was once upon a time groundbreaking, something that was once upon a time historic, they are now just throwing it together just because, we've already committed that we're going to do this. So let's just put anyone on the card. Like the Rhea and Io Sky segment of Io Sky basically saying, Adam Pearce said, I can choose whoever I want the best. Rhea Ripley, I face you. Like, okay, but like, we're just thrusting Rhea Ripley back into another title spot. She beat Raquel Rodriguez at Night of Champions, fair enough, but like, was that a number 1 contenders match? Like, Raquel Rodriguez doesn't have like loads of singles wins under her to kind of say she was next in line and Rhea's toppled her now, so it's Rhea's turn. They are just saying, right, you know, these two have good chemistry, put on good matches, let's find a way, slap them together, and then that's probably going to be the main event for Evolution. On the other hand, NXT, they had a bit of a gauntlet situation where they had several matches and determined a number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. So it's going to be Jordynne Grace and JC Jane, you know, competing for that. And Jordynne Grace, maybe that's her crowning moment in NXT. She's went up for this title, I think, on 3 or 4 other occasions and hasn't won. So it'll be good if Jordynne Grace comes out on top. But like, ultimately, some will then say, we don't want to see JC Jane as champion. How did we get here with JC Jane as champion? So it's like, do they care with that? They're now promoting a women's tag team match on Evolution with Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, who's obviously taken over from Liv Morgan as tag team champion. And they're saying they're going to get a tag team from Raw, they're going to get a tag team from SmackDown, they're going to get a tag team from NXT. All of a sudden, you lot care about tag team wrestling? And what they will probably do is leave the titles on Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, and everything will just go back to normal, you know? Yes, we want to see these divisions highlighted and have an opportunity, but they don't care. They're literally slapping things together now just because they've got this pay-per-view in 13 days. Like, this tag division is totally underutilized. I don't know what we're going to do with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is obviously the other women's champion on SmackDown. She just had a title match with Nia Jax, vanquished her. Jade's title match isn't till SummerSlam. So what do we do with Tiffany Stratton? They're going to feed us something quickly on Friday, I'm sure, to kind of produce a number one contender, I'm guessing. Where are the long-term stories? Why? We've known we are having Evolution. We should be building towards this for the best part of, 3-4 months. Straight out of WrestleMania, we should have been on the road to Evolution, really, for the women. And building stories that will culminate at this show. Not everything has to be a long-term story, I hear that. But like, they are clearly just slapping things together at this point. And it's frustrating. We've got to have a battle royal, right? The battle royal will determine a number one contender for Clash in Paris. I'm sure, like, Stephanie Vaquer probably wins that. You know, she's someone that has been really, really strong in recent times. Hasn't been on TV for some time now, a couple of weeks. So Stephanie Vaquer probably wins that. Probably will have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss with this whole storyline around I'm your friend, I'm not your friend, I don't need friends, whatever this storyline's about. And then the Intercontinental title will probably have that. I don't know if Julia makes it on with the US title, but the Intercontinental title with Becky, Lyra, Bayley, that's clearly going to Evolution. And that has really been the only long-term story being told over this entire period. That started, the night before WrestleMania? Or even before that, if you want to look at Lyra and Bayley's run as a tag team towards WrestleMania, before Becky took out Bayley. And then after that, obviously, Becky and Lyra won the belts, lost the belts, Becky turned, Becky went up against Lyra, lost, Becky went up against her again, won, Bayley returned. That is a story, and it's going to culminate now at Evolution. Thank you. Like, 1 out of 6, maybe. Like, I just don't understand why this couldn't have been the case up and down the card, across the place, Like, they're really just slapping things together with 2 weeks left because they're just putting pay-per-views everywhere and they can't think about anything else long term because they have to deal with what's in front of them. Leave AEW alone, man. Leave AEW alone. You lot book your own thing and stop worrying about what they're doing because it's going to be very detrimental to this company if it's not already. NXT will play a small part in this PLE. However, if this wasn't NXT, I swear on it, I know that they would have booked this to perfection. It's just so well put together. But because it's not NXT, because it's main roster, the madness is happening. And we have no one to blame but Triple H, the guy at top. It's the truth of the matter. It is the truth of the matter. Like, honestly, we've got the women's NXT title situation there. NXT women will probably show up within the Battle Royal thing that's going to happen on the card. That might be the end of NXT's involvement. They'll have one person in the tag team match. One tag team in the tag team match. That's about it. That is about it. So, yeah, listen, I just had to get this off my chest because I think the women deserve so much. And when they feed them this kind of crap on what they're selling, as a historic event, you know, monumental and all these other bloody adjectives, like, it does my head in. It does my head in because they deserve better. You can claim you've got the best women's division in the world, which I believe they do, but then you're not giving them anything to do. You're feeding them crap. It's got to change. It's got to evolve.